Hi students, welcome to today's lecture on compiler design. So in our previous class, we have seen different types of parsers, and also we discussed about one category of parsers, how it works, which is backtracking parser. Today, we'll discuss about another important uh, type of parser under top-down parsing, which is predictive parser. Okay. So predictive parser is also called as LLF1 parser, we all know, and also it is named as recursive descent parsing without backtracking also, and sometimes it is also called as a dynamic parser. Uh, what does this LLF1 actually means? So we need to understand that first. In LLF1 parsing, L stands for the input string will be parsed from or scanned from left to right. So the direction of scanning the input string, which is under parsing, is from left to right. And the second L means that the parsing technique makes use of leftmost derivation while constructing the parse tree. Okay, so the first L means that the input string is scanned from left to right, and the second L means that the derivation process is leftmost derivation, LMD. And that one represents the number of look-ahead symbols used by the parser while deciding the action to be taken. Okay, so LLF1 meaning is left to right, scanning of input string using leftmost derivation tree with the help of one look-ahead symbol. So that is the meaning. So this is the schematic diagram of LLF1 parser. If you look at this diagram, this is the parser which we are going to develop, the predictive parser, the program. It is connected to three components. You can see three components are there. One is input buffer, on which the string which we want to parse, that is to verify the syntax of this A plus B, let us say. Whatever statement is there, if you want to verify the syntactic correctness of the statement, then you put it into input buffer, okay, followed by a dollar symbol at the end to represent the end of statement. And the predictive parsing program is also connected to a stack in which uh, dollar is placed at the beginning to indicate that stack is empty. Okay, so you can use any other method to indicate the stack empty process. Okay, and this is the most important part, most important component of predictive parsing program, the parsing table, the predictive parsing table, which is used to identify the action to be taken by the predictive parser. Okay, and finally it produces the corresponding abstract syntax tree or parse tree if everything goes right. So these are the steps involved in constructing the predictive parse table, because if you look at this schematic diagram, the most important part is this one. If you construct this parsing table, the predictive parsing table, then you are almost done. You can then use this parsing table to check whether a particular string is part of a language or not by using a stack and a parsing program. Okay, so our major step is to build this parse table. So how to build this parse table? These are the steps. The first constraint for building a parse table is the given grammar should not be an ambiguous grammar. So if it contains an ambiguity, then remove that ambiguity. We know how to remove the ambiguity. We saw it in the previous session. And if the grammar contains left recursion, we need to eliminate it. And if required, perform this left factoring. So the grammar should be left factored grammar, properly uh, removing that prefixes. And this is the crucial step. After performing all these steps on the grammar, now you are able to construct these two sets, first set and follow set of each variable in the grammar. And this is the crucial step. And then based on these two sets, we'll build the predictive parse table at the end. Okay, so again, I repeat, at the beginning, check whether the grammar is having ambiguity, left recursion, and left factoring is required. If required, I'll perform all these steps. Okay. And once the grammar is unambiguous and does not contain any left recursion, then find out the first set and follow sets of each variable of the grammar. So once you calculate these two sets, then you are ready to build the predictive parse table based on these two sets. So the major step is how to calculate this first and follow sets. Okay, right. So let us consider an example to understand how these first and follow sets are calculated. So I'm considering a grammar. E implies E plus T or T. T implies T star F or F. F implies parenthesized E or int. This is actually uh, addition of integers, multiplication of two integers. So this grammar represents any arithmetic operation that involves addition, multiplication on integers. Okay, so that is the grammar we are considering. If you look at this grammar, there is no ambiguity in this. There is no ambiguity. You can check it by constructing parse trees, deriving some integers like a plus b into c. You can consider any integer there. Okay, you can check it. We all know that this is an unambiguous grammar. We see this example already in our previous session. Okay, so now if you look at this grammar, it is not having any ambiguity, but it contains left recursion. If you look at this LHS variable and the first variable on right hand side, it is having left recursion. So the grammar should not contain left recursion. This statement contains left recursion, and this statement also contains left recursion, whereas this statement does not contain any left recursion. So these two productions must be converted properly. Okay, so we all know how to convert it, how to eliminate the left recursion. We'll introduce a new variable e dash for converting this. E implies, okay, the formula, if you can recollect, A implies A alpha or beta. If that is the production, the conversion process is introduce a new variable, let us say E dash, and then use this beta over there. So E implies T E dash, that is A implies beta A dash, that is the formula, and A dash implies alpha A dash or epsilon, that is the formula. So we already solved some problems in our previous sessions, so I think please refer to that video again to understand how this left recursion is done. Again, this second production is also converted like that. T implies T star F or F. It is also in the form of A implies A alpha or beta. So you need to convert it as A implies beta A dash, or other production is A implies A dash implies alpha A dash or epsilon. So in that manner, T implies Ft dash and T dash implies star Ft dash or epsilon. And the third production does not change because it does not have any left recursion. And now if you see, there is no left factoring required here. There are no common prefixes over here. Therefore, the grammar does not require any left factoring. Okay. So now we are ready to calculate the first sets and follow sets on this grammar. Okay. So this is the grammar, the resultant grammar. Please understand this because this is the most crucial step to calculate the first sets of every variable. Remember, first sets are calculated for all the variables in the grammar, not for the terminals. Small symbols are terminals. Okay, we will not calculate first sets for the terminals. We calculate first sets for only variables in the grammar. So first of E is equals to, the formula is first of T dash. Actually, it is first of T dash, which stands for first of T. First of T. Okay. And then we see that what is first of T? First of T is first of F. And what is first of F? Now, listen carefully. First of F is the first terminal on RHS. So first of F is, this is a terminal. So this one, and also there is another production. This is also terminal. Int is also a terminal. So first of F is going to be a open parenthesis and int. Okay. First of F is going to be open parenthesis and int, these two. And because first of F is same as first of T, first of T is same as first of E, all these three becomes epsilon left parenthesis comma int. Okay, again I repeat, first of E is equal to first of T. First of T is equal to first of F. First of F is equal to the first terminal in RHS productions. The first terminal is this one and also this one. These two are two different productions. So the first terminal from the first productions from RHS and the first terminal from the other production from RHS. So open parenthesis comma int. Okay, and here you need to remember one important thing here while calculating the first. Suppose if you have number of variables like this, and unfortunately first of T, let us say first of T contains epsilon. Assume this. First of T contains epsilon, then you need to take first of T union first of E dash also. I repeat, first of E is equal to first of T. If first of T contains epsilon, then you have to perform first of E is equal to first of T union first of E dash also. Okay, and first of E dash also contains epsilon, then the formula will be first of E is equal to first of T union first of E dash union epsilon. So if all the variables on RHS contains epsilon, then include epsilon. Okay, right. So remember that, otherwise there will be some mistakes in first sets. What is that you need to remember? If first of T here contains epsilon, then you need to perform union operation with first of E dash also. So it becomes first of T union first of E dash. Similarly here, for calculating first of T, you have to perform first of T is equals to first of F. If first of F contains epsilon, then perform union first of T dash. So luckily here, first of F should not contain any, did not contain any epsilon here. If you see, first of F is open parenthesis and there is no epsilon here. Therefore, we consider only first of F. We will not perform union T dash here. Okay, I think you understood now. Okay, let us move on to the remaining things. So first of E dash. For calculating first of E dash, you have to look at the first terminals on RHS. What is the first terminal here? Epsilon. So you will take that epsilon, epsilon plus. The first terminal is plus. So you will take that plus here. And also there is epsilon. So first of E dash directly contains epsilon. So you include that epsilon over here. Okay. So first of E dash, calculation of first of E dash is very simple. Take out those first terminals, only the first terminals. If you have any terminal in between, you will not consider it. You will consider only the first term. So first of E dash is equal to plus and epsilon. Similarly, first of T dash. First of T dash is equal to star and epsilon. Okay. So this is how we calculate first sets. There will be a confusion when you have something like this. If RHS contains all the variables, then you need to be careful. If the first variable's first set contains epsilon, then you perform union operation with the first set of second variable also. Please remember that point. Okay. Then calculation of follow sets. This is actually a bit difficult compared to that first sets. Uh, Please listen carefully, focus more. So let us calculate the follow sets of each variable again. The first variable is e. Follow of e. E is the start variable, right? E is the start variable. For the start variable, the follow set directly contains a special symbol called as dollar. Please remember this. For the first variable of the grammar, that is start variable of the grammar is capital E. The start variable of the grammar will have a dollar symbol by default in its follow set. So follow of E is equal to dollar. So directly include this dollar. And then for adding the other symbols to follow of E, look into the RHS. Look into the RHS where this variable E is present. So just go through all the productions to look for the variable E. So you got E here. And look for, is there any terminal followed by it? Terminal followed by it. If there is a terminal followed by it, include it. So followed by capital E, you have this terminal closed parenthesis. So include that closed parenthesis here. Okay. So follow of E directly contains dollar, and then because there is a terminal which follows this E, include it here. Okay. Then follow of E dash. So follow of E dash. So from the second variable onwards, don't look at here. Look for that variable on RHS only. So we are looking for E dash. So E dash is here, E dash is here. You can go with the first occurrence. In both the cases, if you see, E dash does not have any following symbol, which means E dash is followed by some epsilon, right? If there is no symbol, it means there is epsilon. So if any variable follows epsilon, that is followed by an epsilon, then its follow set is same as the follow set of LHS variable. Please focus. If follow of E dash is to be calculated, because there is no symbol that is following E dash, it means follow of E dash is same as follow of E. Okay. So follow of E dash is equals to follow of E. Therefore, follow of E dash is same as follow of E. The same two symbols, dollar comma closed parenthesis, will come here. Okay. And then we calculate follow of T. Follow of T. Look for T. So here is one T. Here is one T. Okay. And if you look at both the RHS productions, there is a variable followed by T. What is it? E dash. Therefore, if any variable follows the corresponding variable for which we are calculating follow, then follow of T becomes first of E dash. I repeat, follow of T becomes first of E dash. When if it is followed by another variable, okay, the first set of the variable that follows becomes follow of this T. Okay, because E dash is following T, this first set of E dash will be follow of T. Okay, so follow of T is equals to first of E dash. So what is first of E dash? We calculated. First of E dash is plus comma epsilon. So we added plus comma epsilon. And immediately follow of T is now containing epsilon. Follow sets should not contain epsilon. Therefore, what we need to do is whenever there is an epsilon in the corresponding follow set, what you need to do is follow of T contains epsilon. Therefore, you have to look for the follow of LHS variable also. What is the LHS variable? It is E or E dash. You can consider any of them. Again, I repeat, I am calculating follow of T. So it is E dash. Therefore, I will consider first of E dash. If first of E dash does not contain epsilon, that's over. The same variables, the same terminals from first of E dash will be considered. If first of E dash contains epsilon, then you have to take the follow of E also on LHS variable. Okay. So because first follow of T contains epsilon, you have to consider follow of E also. So what is follow of E? Dollar comma closed parenthesis. So in place of this epsilon, we include dollar comma closed parenthesis. If you understood this, there is nothing difficult here. Okay. Try to understand, try to see this again and again until you understand the process again. So we'll go to the next variable. We try to calculate follow of T dash. Follow of T dash. What I need to see? Look for the T dash variable on RHS. So if you see, T dash has nothing following here. So it is epsilon. So what we do? If T dash is followed by epsilon, what we do? We take follow of T. Follow of T. So we already calculated follow of T. That is plus dollar and closed parenthesis. That will become follow of T dash also. And then follow of F. Look for F here. F is followed by T dash. So what we'll take? First of T dash we take. What is first of T dash? First of T dash is star comma epsilon. And because this follow of F now contains epsilon, what we do? We consider the follow set of LHS variable also. Okay, because you are calculating follow of F, it contains epsilon, you need to consider follow of T also in case of epsilon. So epsilon is replaced by the follow of T. What is follow of T? Plus dollar and closed parenthesis. So star comma, in place of epsilon we consider plus dollar and closed parenthesis. So these are follow sets. So actually this is a bit difficult because this is the first time you are listening to. After practicing more problems, you will be able to understand how you can calculate first and follow sets. So uh, my suggestion is listen to this calculation of first sets and follow sets many times until you understand it. Okay, right. Now, because we calculated first sets and follow sets, we are ready to build that pass table, read to pass table. Initially, you need to construct the pass table like this. You take down the pass table as all the variables are written in as rows and all the terminals are written in columns. Okay, how many terminals are there? Plus is there, star is there, open parenthesis, closed parenthesis, and int, and a special terminal which we included dollar. Okay, so initially this, and we need to fill these values in the table. How to fill this table? So this is the algorithm for filling the table. What we need to do is look into the first sets and fill table of a comma a is equals to a implies to alpha. Okay, that means for a variable a on a particular terminal small a, you will look for the first of a and fill a implies alpha with all combinations of a comma a. Probably you don't understand it here. I'll show you in the example so that you will understand it very easily. It's not a difficult task. It's very easy. This is if the first set does not contain any epsilon. If the first set contains epsilon, then you need to perform other task also. You have to take all the terminals from follow set and include that a implies alpha, that is epsilon. Generally going to be a implies epsilon in that combination of a comma b. So there are two cases. One, the first set does not contain epsilon, then For all those combinations of variables and terminals in the first set, we keep that corresponding production. And if it contains epsilon, then the second case comes. We consider the set of terminals from follow set, and we fill the table with the corresponding production that produces epsilon. Okay. Of course, you don't understand it now. Let us have a look at the example and then come back to this two steps. Then you will understand it. Okay. Let us start with this first one. I'm considering first of E. So you need to consider first sets one by one. These are the first sets. So I'll start with first of E is equals to open parenthesis comma int. Okay. First of E is equal to open parenthesis comma int. This is my first set. So the meaning is for the variable E with the combination open parenthesis comma int, write the production for which this first set is generated. So what is that production from which we calculated this first of E? The production is, you need to look for the grammar. How did you calculate first of E? First of E is calculated with the help of this production. What is it? E implies TE dash. So substitute this production for every combination of E comma open parenthesis and int in the table. So for E on open parenthesis and on int, we substitute that production. E implies TE dash. And here also E implies TE dash. And for all other combinations, it indicates syntax errors. So cannot happen means that syntax errors. The variable E can perform parsing only on open parenthesis or on int. Okay. If it sees any other symbol directly, then it means there is a syntax error in the corresponding statement. Similarly, we consider the second one, first of E dash. First of E dash is equal to plus comma epsilon. So now if you see first set contains epsilon, then what you need to do is first of E dash is equals to plus comma epsilon. So E dash on plus is substituted, E dash on plus is substituted with the corresponding production. E dash implies plus TE dash. Of course, E dash implies is not written here. E dash implies plus TE dash. And then because it also contains epsilon, then you look for follow of E dash. What is follow of E dash? Dollar comma closed parenthesis. So on dollar and closed parenthesis, this one, we substitute E dash implies epsilon. E dash implies epsilon. Okay. I think you understood now. If the first set contains any epsilon, then consider the follow set of it. And for all the combinations of terminals with the variable, you write this production in the corresponding field. E dash implies epsilon with closed parenthesis and with dollar E dash implies epsilon. Similarly, you can fill up every other field also. Okay, the cannot happen represents syntax errors in this table. Okay, and if the field contains any production, it means there is no syntax error. Parser can process it. Otherwise, it will simply stop and produces a syntax error message. Okay, right. So we are ready now. Our parse table is ready. And let us see how this parse table is utilized by the predictive parser program to verify whether a given statement is syntactically correct or not. We'll understand that with an example. So this is the parsing algorithm. I hope you will not understand it now. We'll come back to this again. Let us go through an example first. Then we'll come back and read that algorithm. You will understand it then. So let us see parsing with an example. I'll consider 3 plus 5 into 7. And I want to check whether the statement is syntactically correct or not. Actually, it is integer 3. plus operator, integer 5, star operator, integer 7. I think all the tokens are valid, and I think it is syntactically correct also. So the parser should successfully parse this corresponding string. Okay, let us start the process. As you know, in the first diagram we have seen, it makes use of a stack and an input buffer. Input buffer contains the input string, and the stack is used for processing purpose. Okay, right. So this table is showing the stack symbols and the input here. In step 1, the input is 3, the first symbol, because the scanning is done from left to right. We all know that the scanning is done from left to right. So it selects the first symbol 3. First symbol 3, that is integer 3. And initially we put the first variable, that is start variable of the grammar, into the stack. Of course, you can write dollar here to indicate empty stack. I'm not writing it. I'm just showing capital E, the first variable, the start variable of the corresponding grammar. So now the combination is stack top symbol is capital E, and the input buffer is pointing 3. So E with 3, that is the combination. E with 3. Okay, so E on stack and the input is 3. 3 is nothing but an integer. Then what is the production that you need to select from the table? E with int. So what is the production we need to select? E implies TE dash. That means in place of capital E, you take TE dash. So you pop this E and substitute TE dash over here. Okay. And there is nothing done over here. It will be still 3 only. It will be still 3 only until it matches with one of the terminals on stack. It will not be moved. Okay, so what happens is this E will be replaced by TE dash, and the handle in the input buffer is still pointing to 3. It is still pointing to 3. Okay, so when it moves, wait for it. When it moves, after 3 or 4 steps, you will understand when the input buffer pointer will be moved. Okay, as of now, the pointer is not moved. It is still pointing to 3. Then what is the stack top symbol here? So we substituted TE dash. Now it is T. Left is top. So it is written here. Top is on left. So this is top symbol, capital T. Now what is the combination? Variable T with integer 3. Variable 3 with the integer T. So what is the combination there? T with the int. T with the int. It is saying ft dash. Ft dash. So in place of T, you have to substitute ft dash. Okay, so now the stack becomes ft dash e dash. Again, there is no change in the input pointer. It is still pointing to 3. Now the combination is f on 3, that is integer. F on 3. What is f on 3? That is f on integer. F on int is int only. F on int is int only. So we replace this f with int. Now you see this is integer on top of the stack, and this is also an integer which is pointed in the input buffer. So there is a match, integer and integer. There is a match found. Therefore, what we do is we pop these two. Int is popped and 3 is also popped because it is successful. Okay, and we parse the remaining string. What is remained? What is remained is T dash is remained here. Okay, and then plus 5 star $7 is there. Okay, T dash E dash. Now T dash on plus. We look for T dash on plus. What is T dash on plus? See here. T dash on plus is showing T implies epsilon. It is showing epsilon. That means epsilon always means that it is actually T dash. And please change this. This is not T implies. This is T dash implies epsilon. So it is saying that simply substitute epsilon in place of T dash. That means pop this T dash over here, and the input buffer is pointed by plus. There is no change here. Okay. So after removing that T dash, you will have only E dash. You will have only E dash. Okay. So E dash on plus now. E dash on plus. Look into the parse table. What it is saying? E dash on plus. What it is saying? Plus T dash. Plus T dash. Okay. So we substitute plus T dash in place of E dash. Plus T dash. Now the top stack top is plus, and the input buffer is plus. The pointer is pointing to plus. Now if you see, there is a match between plus and plus. So what we do, take out this plus and this plus and process the remaining string. What is the remaining string? 5 star $7 and T dash. Okay, 5 star $7 and T dash. We repeat the same process again. That means we look for T on 5. So what happens with T on 5? T on int. If you look into the parse table, T on int. T on int is ft dash again. Ft dash. So it is going to be ft dash. Okay. And then f is replaced by int. Int and int matches, producing star $7. And in star $7 also, it comes over like this. Star ft dash e dash and star also matches. Star also matches. Okay. Then what is remained after star is matched? There is only 7. Now it is f versus int, because f can be directly substituted with int, because f int combination is int only. So int and int matches, they will be removed. So dollar and T dash E dash. So what is the combination T dash comma dollar? What it is saying in the prediction? T dash comma dollar is T dash epsilon. So we simply pop the T dash variable here. It will go out. And E dash. E dash on dollar is also epsilon. So you will remove it. Now stack becomes empty. When stack becomes empty and the input buffer contains dollar, it means there is nothing to be processed. The string is successfully parsed by the predictive parser. Okay. So when stack becomes empty, at that point of time, if there is nothing remained in the input buffer, it means there are no syntax errors in the given string. That means 3 plus 5 into 7 is syntactically correct. Otherwise, if at least there are some input remained at the end of stack, then it means there are some syntax errors in the corresponding input. Okay, that is how it works. And now let's go through the algorithm. So we have seen how the parsing is done. Now, initially, assuming that S is the start variable, I'll push this into stack. Okay, so push the start variable into stack, and while stack is not empty, pop the topmost item from stack, that is a variable from stack, and pick the next input token, that is one token from the input string from the buffer. So x is the variable from stack, small a is the token from the input buffer. So you look for this combination. If x is a terminal or dollar, and if x is equal to a, that is there is a match found, then read token a, otherwise abort. Okay, It is a terminal and it is matching. It is a terminal, and if it is not matching, then abort. Okay, if a match is found, then continue. A token will be read, and the process continues. Otherwise, if it is not a terminal, then look into the predict of x comma a. This means look into the corresponding parser table, predict parser table, with this combination of variable and that input token. Okay, x comma a combination. If there is nothing, that is, if that row column combination is empty, then abort, which means that there is a syntax error. Otherwise, if it contains a rule, that is production, in the form x implies alpha, then push alpha into the stack. That is, RHS will be pushed into the stack. Okay. And when this loop is completed, stack becomes empty. And when stack becomes empty, if the string is not at end of input, that is dollar is not reached, then abort. Abort means that there are syntax errors. Otherwise, if it is dollar, it means we accept the corresponding string. There are no syntax errors in the corresponding input string. Okay. So this is the parsing algorithm which we used for parsing a given string. And this is a assignment for you. Please, all of you, note down this grammar and try to construct the predictive parse table, and also parse the string AX/AZ after constructing the parse table. Okay. And this is not so easy, because if you look at this ABC, while calculating first sets, first of A contains epsilon, first of B also contains epsilon. So while calculating first of E, you need to take first of A union first of B union first of C. So be careful while calculating the first sets. This is a difficult problem. All of you try this, and if you get any doubts, you can contact me through my mail ID, or else you can contact me over phone also. Okay, and please practice it properly. This is an important question from this unit. Okay, thank you. That's all for today. When we come back, we start the LR parsers concept. Okay, thank you all.